Welcome to Superstitious. Today on Origins Explained, we'll be diving into the origins of Dr. Sleep. We will be focusing on what inspired Dr. Sleep, as well as The Shining, so beware of spoilers for both. We'll also be looking at real-life people that may or may not have psychic abilities, and real-life hauntings of the Stanley Hotel. With that in mind, let's get started. In late September 1974, Stephen King and his wife Tabitha checked into room 217 at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. The hotel was getting ready to close down for the winter, so they were the only guests that night. As they wandered through the hallways, the long empty corridors, and the overall feeling of the hotel seemed the perfect setting for a ghost story. That evening, King and Tabitha had dinner in the grand dining room, and except for their table, all the chairs were up on the tables. They were completely alone. Taped orchestral music played in the background and echoed down the hall as they ate. When they were done, Tabitha decided to turn in while King decided to walk around the hotel. He ended up at the bar and was served drinks by Grady, the bartender. When he finally went to bed and fell asleep, King had a horrific dream. He said, "That night, I dreamed of my 3-year-old son running through the corridors, looking back over his shoulder, eyes wide, screaming. He was being chased by a fire hose. I woke up with a tremendous jerk, sweating all over, within an inch of falling out of bed. I got up, lit a cigarette, and sat in the chair looking out the window at the Rockies. And by the time the cigarette was done, I had the bones of the book firmly set in my mind." That book is The Shining, the prequel to Dr. Sleep. In The Shining, we follow Jack, Wendy, and Danny Torrance as they move into the Overlook Hotel for the winter. The hotel is not only haunted, but is also an evil entity that slowly influences Jack to kill his family. This is the place where Danny learns he has what's called The Shining, a telepathic and clairvoyant ability that both augments the supernatural presence in the hotel and helps him survive the ordeal. At the end of the story, Danny escapes with his mom Wendy while Jack dies, who was completely possessed by the Overlook Hotel by the time the story ends. Dr. Sleep takes place almost 40 years after the events of the original story. Danny Torrance, now a man in his 40s going by Dan, is still traumatized by the events that happened in the Overlook Hotel and is haunted by its many ghosts, including the woman in room 217, or room 237 in the film. As a child, he went into room 217 and was attacked by the ghost of a woman haunting the room. This is the same room that Stephen King stayed in and is considered one of the most haunted rooms in the Stanley Hotel. In 1911, the Stanley was powered by gas lighting, like many hotels in that day. One night, a thunderstorm caused the power to go out, and Elizabeth Wilson, one of the maids, went around with a candle checking the rooms. When she entered room 217, there was an explosion that partly destroyed the room and sent her crashing through the floors. Even though she survived the incident with only minor injuries, many guests believe her ghost has returned to haunt that room. They report objects moving on their own, suitcases being unpacked, and hearing the disembodied voice of a woman at night. Some guests have seen her ghost walking in room 217 and exiting through the walls. The rest of the Stanley Hotel is also said to be haunted, with apparitions and children's voices being heard throughout, especially around the 4th floor, where the maid headquarters used to be. In Dr. Sleep, Dan works at a hospice and, aided by Azzy the cat, uses his powers to help people die peacefully. Azzy is based on Oscar, a real-life therapy cat that is believed to have the power to sense when people will die. Adopted in 2005 by the Steerhouse Nursing and Rehabilitation Center in Providence, Rhode Island, Oscar seems to predict the impending death of patients. When he senses someone is about to pass away, he will cuddle up next to them, usually within 2 hours of their death. Oscar is believed to have predicted the deaths of over 100 people. Finally, Dan meets a girl named Abra, who has even more powerful shining abilities than he does, and they use their power to fight a group of psychics called the True Knot, led by Rose the Hat. They torture, kill, and psychically feed off people with shining abilities to extend their own lives. Throughout history, there have been many people who claim to have supernatural abilities. Even today, there's the concept of crystal children who may possess telepathic abilities, and some even believe they are the next stage in human evolution. Psychic Kids, a show on A&E, shines a light on kids with extraordinary abilities and how they can be harnessed. Perry Zarella, who appeared in the original iteration of the TV show as a child with psychic abilities, has returned to the rebooted version as a mentor, helping other kids the same way other mediums helped her understand her abilities. As an 8-year-old child, Perry had a near-death experience. It was after that incident that she was able to sense other people's energies, hear voices, and have visions. According to her, she had become a beacon for the restless spirits around her who wanted her to set them free. She said, "The near-death experience put me in a challenging realm of energy because I was around a lot of energies that were suffering. They wanted my help. They wanted to ride in the elevator of my energetic channel and move into the white light." One of these instances was particularly traumatizing. About that incident, she said, "I had one past life where I ended up drowning as a little girl. There was a person in that past life, Mr. Smith, who was watching me drowning and laughing. And that energy came back to me, and it was really scary and disturbing. And just like Dan learned how to use his abilities to contain the ghosts haunting him, Perry learned from a mentor how to turn off her abilities to prevent any malevolent entities from harming her. While the idea of having psychic abilities sounds appealing, Dr. Sleep shows us that they may be more of a curse than a blessing. They may even have the power to haunt you for the rest of your lives." Thanks for joining us in another episode of Origins Explained. If you like this video, hit the like and subscribe button, and let us know in the comments below what movie we should look into next time.